But again, it just tells the story of the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well. This is the Think Tank. So we are going to watch day 3 of Timothy Verills' trial. And it's looking super interesting. I was unsure if we were going to cover this or not, but it's interesting enough that I really think we should. So with that said, let's jump right into this.
Thank you, Judge. When we broke for the day yesterday, we had reviewed video clips as well as still photos from a file for embedded time of 10 to 11 p.m. on January 26th. And in the clips that we saw 2 women arriving together in the same car. And you noted that at the end of that clip, you observed from your watching the video, another car coming up the driveway, right?
That's correct.
So with that context, let's go on to another video file. It's a file ending 120 F6. It has a beginning and ending embedded time and date of 11 p.m. to midnight on January 26th of 2017. We're going to begin with exterior camera 2, which is highlighted in purple. And does this video file appear to be a continuation of the last video file time-wise? In other words, does this surveillance video begin with a surveillance video from the file that we saw yesterday end?
It does.
You noted that at the end of the last video file, surveillance cameras record a vehicle entering the driveway. Is that arrival further seen on this clip that we're going to see?
It is.
And let's play the clip now. It's embedded time of 11 p.m. on January 26th, and it lasts about 42 seconds. And you again noted that this light here appears to be motion activated based on your observation of surveillance video.
That's correct.
The single person who was just seen leaving the car that arrived, is he the only person seen in that car and leaving that car?
That's correct.
And is that same man also depicted in the other 2 video clips from this video file that we're going to be watching?
He is.
Let's first go to exterior camera 3, and that's highlighted in red. Bless you. The car that was just seen arriving in the exterior video, about where is that car parked in this frame here?
If we extended the frame out to the right, the car would be parked on the driveway, and the individual would be walking in down the driveway and then taking a right by that trellis area again, going into the lighted area in the lower porch and into the residence.
So we'll see him in about this area that I'm indicating with the laser pointer.
Correct.
And let's play that clip now. It lasts only about 12 seconds. Let's go to the last of the clips that we're going to be playing for this particular video file. It's interior camera 6, which is highlighted in blue. And this clip is going to last about 7 seconds. The person who drove up and entered the residence at about 11 p.m. on January 26 is State's Exhibit 30K, what we're looking at, several still photos of him taken from this portion of video.
Yes, it is.
And the next 3 slides are going to be each one of these photographs individually. Does he appear to be wearing anything on his head?
He does appears to be wearing a baseball hat.
And from your review of surveillance footage, do you see this same man wearing a baseball hat and other footage as well?
I do.
Moving on to the next video file chronologically based on embedded time. It's file ending 120 F7 with a beginning and embedded time and date of 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. And now we're on January 27th of 2017. Before going over the video clips and still photos on the screen as a calendar, so again, we're now on to the early morning of Friday, January 27th.
That's correct.
The 3 video clips from the last video file depicted a man driving up to the house and then entering the house. Does the footage in this video file depict who appears to be the same man leaving the house and driving off in that same vehicle?
It does.
And is that activity depicted in the next 2 video clips that we're going to be playing?
That's correct.
So let's go to the first of the clips from this video file. It's from interior camera 6, which is highlighted in blue. And this video clip has an embedded time of about 12:54 a.m. on January 27th. And this lasts about about 12 seconds.
So this is Timothy Verill's second trial. It does sound like it's very much substance related. This is day 3. Today is actually day 4 that is going to be streamed with other channels, but I wanted to kind of catch up and keep us on track. So I do have opening statements. I do not have day 2. So we are starting with day 3 and see how this goes.
We're looking now at State's Exhibit 30L. Are these 2 photos stills taken from the portion of video that was just played?
It is. They are.
And we see both the male and also a female circled in purple, right?
Correct.
Does the next series of still photographs, which is State's Exhibit 30M, show that same female during that same time period in the video file?
It does.
Turning to the second video clip that will be played from this particular video file. From your viewing of surveillance footage, does this footage depict the same male and female that was just seen in the previous video clip from the interior camera?
It does.
And do we see the male and the female here with the laser pointer?
That's correct.
So now let's play this video clip. It lasts about 1 minute and 25 seconds. Again, the vehicle that the man had arrived in, that's off camera, off to the right where the laser pointer is, right?
That's correct.
And from your viewing of surveillance footage, had that vehicle moved since it arrived with this man at about 11 p.m.?
It had not.
Sure. And the vehicle that the man had arrived in, what exterior camera viewed that vehicle?
The best one would have been camera 2.
Highlighted in purple.
That's correct.
And does footage from exterior camera 2 depict that same man as he walked to the vehicle towards the end of the video file that we just played portions of?
That's correct.
Showing you the remaining photos from State's Exhibit 30L, are they all still photos taken from exterior camera 2 showing that same man? Bless you.
They do.
And the next 4 slides are each one of these 4 individual stills. At the end of this video file, what happens with this man in the car that he had earlier driven up in?
They leave. He gets in the car and the car backs down the driveway and leaves.
So this video file ended at about 1 a.m. embedded time. The next video file from which we're going to be viewing clips, its name ending 120F9. It has a beginning and embedded time and date of 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. on January 27th. So this is actually an hour later, right?
Correct.
Looking at a still photo from the beginning of this video file, is this the same car that was seen on previous videos yesterday as well as we just saw earlier today?
Yes, it's that same station wagon.
So did you review another video file with an embedded time of 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. that depicts another vehicle entering the driveway, a man leaving the vehicle and entering the house at the same entrance we've seen multiple people enter, indicated by the laser pointer?
Yes.
Sorry. Right here.
Yes.
And was that vehicle's arrival just before 2 a.m. embedded time on January 27th captured by external surveillance cameras, including camera 2, which is highlighted in purple?
Yes, it was.
With respect to the vehicle that arrived at just before 2 a.m. on January 27th embedded time, is that vehicle as well as the vehicle's driver depicted in still photographs in State's Exhibit 30N, which we're looking at now?
It is, and if you note, the car is now parked a little further into the driveway than it had previously been parked.
So a man in a vehicle left the residence at about 1 a.m. Man in vehicle on the right arrive at the, oops. Sorry. So what we saw before, looking at 30L, the man on the vehicle on the left leave the residence at about 1 a.m. and the man in the vehicle on the right arrive at the residence at about 2 a.m., about an hour later?
That's correct.
And from your review of surveillance clips from which these 2 still photos was taken, as well as other surveillance footage, does it appear to be the same man in the same vehicle who left at about 1 a.m. and who returned at about 2 a.m.?
It does.
The next slide shows the same 2 surveillance stills on the left, along with phone record entries from State's Exhibit 17, which the jurors saw a couple days ago, and those records are on the right. When were the 3 phone calls on the right made in relation to the times on the left?
The 3 phone calls were all made in between the two photographs.
So these 3 calls were made in the time period between when the man left and when the man returned?
That's correct.
As to the photo on the bottom left here, where does the man seen walking to the left go?
He goes into the residence.
And is that through the same entrance that we've seen multiple people enter and leave before?
That's correct.
So with that context, let's play the first of the 2 video clips from the 2 to 3 a.m. video file. And we're going to start with interior camera 6, which is highlighted in blue. And this clip begins at a embedded time of 2 a.m. on January 27th, and it lasts about 12 seconds. From your viewing of the video file for this period of time, again, 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. on January 27th, does that same male that we just saw in the video appear on this camera several times during this hour-long period?
He does.
Looking at still photos from State's Exhibit 30O, are these still photos the same man during this 1-hour time period?
They are.
And the next 3 slides will be 3 of these photos shown individually. Let's turn to the other surveillance camera. It's interior camera 7, circled in green. So yesterday, we saw a clip from this particular camera. If you could remind the jurors why there is a crooked and partially obscured view from this camera.
If the jury recalls, there was a video where the 2 females had returned, apparently either from a shopping trip or somewhere where they were bringing in packages. The shorter, blonder of the 2 women came out of one of the rooms and then walked into that den area up to the camera and moved the camera to the position that it was showing it at the time.
The male seen in videos and still photos from the other interior camera that we just saw, is he also seen in this clip from camera 7 as well?
He is.
And is he initially in the area identified by the red arrow? And I'm also using the laser pointer.
He is.
With that, let's play this clip. It has an embedded time of 2:16 a.m. on January 27th, and it lasts about 41 seconds. Next on the screen is State's Exhibit 30P. Are these various still photos taken from interior camera 7 from the video clip that we just played?
They are.
And the next 4 slides are the 4 individual photos showing the male circled in red. With respect to the other still photo from State's Exhibit 30P, which is here on the left, and we're going to ask the jurors to compare the object that's obscuring the view in this still right here to an object circled in green from another photo in this State's Exhibit 32M, which the jurors will hear more about through another witness. And this has been enlarged below. The video file for the clips that we just reviewed had a timestamp of 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. on January 27th. The next 4 video files that we're going to review appear to depict the following 4 hours chronologically.
Yes, they do.
So the next several clips that we're going to be playing are from embedded times of the 4-hour period from 3 a.m. to just before 7 a.m. on January 27th.
Correct.
And from your review of that surveillance footage, how many separate people are seen on surveillance spanning those 4 hours on the early morning of January 27th?
3.
And what genders?
1 male and 2 females.
Let's turn to the first of those sequential 4-hour video files. It's a file ending 120FA. It has an embedded date and timestamp beginning and ending at 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. on January 27th. And the portions of surveillance video in this file depict a male and a female.
They do.
With respect to the male, is he depicted in the next video clip that we're going to play from interior camera number 6?
Could you repeat that?
Yep, the male that's seen on the video, are we going to see him in the next clip that we're going to be playing?
Yes, we are.
So let's play this clip. The embedded timestamp on it is 3:21 a.m. on January 27th, and this is going to last about 7 seconds. So from the video just played, it does not appear that the man is wearing anything on his head for this video. From your review of surveillance footage, does it appear to be the same man seen previously in photos and videos wearing the trucker-style hat that you described?
It does.
Does the other video clip that we're going to...
So right now we are basically watching Timothy Verills and his actions. These 2 women should never in a million years have been attacked. And this just is showing us exactly what his motivations and how twisted this guy really, really is.
going to be played during this period depict one of the 2 females in the house with the man.
Yes, it does.
So let's play that clip. The embedded time now is 3:34 a.m. and this lasts about 37 seconds.
Always so sad to see people living their life knowing it's going to end so soon.
The next hour-long video file will be file name ending 120FB. It has a beginning and ending embedded date and time of 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. on January 27th. Looking to the right.
You guys, I just want to let you know, that was Nicole, our little Nicole. That's who that was. So I believe we've been trolled for a while. So you will not see, if you happen to see that name show up, please do tell me. But it sounds like she got into the back of my computer, and I just want to put that out there. So anything, please do let me know if you happen to see anything along those lines, because it really seems like we were trolled. How sad is that?
In this slide, how many separate video clips for this time period are going to be played?
7.
In the beginning of this.
You know Nicole Williams that we've had in here? The one that's always complaining and this and that. She's not on our Discord anymore. Gone. But yeah, that explains all the moaning and biatching and everything. Yes. Yes, Nicole. So if you happen to notice her on, yes, exactly, guys, exactly. So she got into the back of my computer. I'll watch for her back there. But if you guys see any weird activity, different names, mods, can you please just get rid of her? Yeah. Yeah. She's been banned from both. And now that we know exactly what was going on with her, just let me know. Hey, good morning, Mom. Great job last night. I tell you what. That's where I was running into problems, Shauna. So yeah, she's no longer in Discord. I removed all that yesterday. So yeah, I was played. I was played. So anything you guys see, please don't hesitate to zap her or anything odd and let me know. Mods, you can let me know under the other conversation, but zap that. Just zap that. So did I. So did I. It's why I made that move. And now I'm finding it that she's in the back. So with that said, guys, let's get back into this.
This video file, is there activity outside the residence that's captured by surveillance cameras?
Yes, there is.
And is some of that outside activity seen in the second of the next 2 video clips that we're going to be playing?
Yes, it will be.
So with that context, let's turn first to the video clip to interior camera 6, highlighted in blue. And with respect to activity outside the residence, that's going to be seen in the clip after this one. Where will that activity be generally in relative to this location?
In the porch driveway area, as well as towards that garage, that's a barn-like structure with the 2 bays.
And that location, again, is just outside this door right here that I'm indicating with the laser pointer.
Correct.
So let's play this interior footage. It has an embedded timestamp of 4:02 a.m. and it lasts about 35 seconds. And we just saw some of the skipping that we saw in videos from yesterday as well, right?
That's correct.
With respect to the male just seen on the video clip just played, on the screen next is State's Exhibit 30R. Are these several still photos of him taken both from the clip that was just played as well as other portions for this hour-long data file?
They are.
And the next several slides will show individual photos from State's Exhibit 30R with their timestamps enlarged. So we have 4:04 a.m., again 4:04 a.m., 4:37 a.m., and 4:53 a.m. Now let's move to exterior camera footage, and let's start with exterior camera 3. And for this particular footage, we're actually going to be playing this particular footage twice. And the footage begins at embedded time of 4:03 a.m. on January 27th. It lasts for about 1 minute and 2 seconds. And for the first playthrough, we asked the jurors to focus their attention on the area between the red lines in this video. And while we're looking at this, from your viewing of the video, is anyone other than the man that we just saw, is anyone other than him seen outside during this hour-long period?
No one else.
So the next slide is for the very same footage that was just played. And for this playthrough, the jurors are now asked to focus their attention on the area that's boxed off on the upper right-hand corner. And about where is there going to be movement in this particular area from your observation of the surveillance video?
Well, in that upper right-hand corner, there'll be movement in the windows area on that second floor.
The areas that I'm indicating with the laser pointer?
That's correct.
So with that context, let's play it. And again, it's about 1 minute and 2 seconds. And we're seeing some movement here. Mr. Johnson, I have a laser pointer. We've seen some movement.
That's correct.
The embedded time for the end of this particular clip is about 4:04 a.m.
That's correct.
The next surveillance clip is from the same exterior camera. It's about 9 minutes later. And before we play this clip, in the last clip, a person was seen walking to the left. With respect to the overhead photo, towards what area would that be where the person was seen walking from the residence to somewhere?
That large area to the back of the property, that's the barn garage area that has the 2 bays and a little bit of an extended shed that's on the lower part of the building.
And am I indicating that general area with the laser pointer?
That's correct.
With respect to this video clip, it begins at embedded time again of about 4:13 a.m. It runs about 41 seconds. The jurors are asked to focus attention on the boxed-in area on the upper right-hand corner again. And with that context, we'll play the video. Let's turn now to the third clip from the same exterior camera. And now we're moving ahead about 20 minutes. First, can a male be seen at the beginning of this video clip? I think I'm indicating him with the laser pointer.
Yes.
This video clip, it lasts about 1 minute and 9 seconds. This is also going to be played twice. For the first run through, the jurors are once again asked to focus their attention on the area between the red lines. Again, this area where the man is walking to and from, what building again is this?
That would be that garage barn-like structure that we talked about previously that's slightly behind the main residence.
And for the second run through, we'll ask the jurors again to focus our attention on the upper right-hand corner, the boxed in area. And again, do we see some movement in this area?
That's correct.
So this particular clip ends at about embedded time of 4:37 a.m.
That's
And for
correct.
the last of the clip for exterior camera 3, I'm going to be moving about 7 minutes later. And again, in this particular clip, is there someone already outside when this clip begins, indicated by the laser pointer?
Yes, that's correct.
And where did this person come from?
From inside the residence.
This clip begins at a bedded time of about 4:43 a.m. and lasts
Correct.
about 3 minutes and 31 seconds. So this one's longer than others. From these exterior clips, as well as your observation of interior clips, does he now appear to be wearing that hat again?
He appears to be.
So this is my first time really learning about this case as well. I looked into it a little bit the other day. So this is as fresh to me as it is for you guys. So I'm really curious as to what he's planning on doing right now. He's walking back and forth, back and forth.
Where he's walking into, is that different than the entrance that we've seen both him and other people walk in before?
It is.
And the room that he's walking into, that's not covered by any interior cameras that we reviewed from yesterday, right?
It is not.
The next slide is State's Exhibit 30Q, number of still photos. Are these stills from the clips just played as well as from other times during this hour-long period in the data file?
They are.
The next slide shows some of those still photographs as well as the overhead photo that we've been referring to before. And at times in the surveillance video, the male walks not only to the left in this garage area, but also to the right off camera. And again, what's right off camera?
It's the driveway area where his car is parked.
And that area is indicated by the laser pointer in the overhead photo.
That's correct.
And that area is covered by exterior camera 2.
That's also correct.
So with that, let's view the last 2 remaining video clips from this file from exterior camera 2, which is highlighted in purple. The person seen on the still in the bottom right, from your review of other surveillance footage, is this the same person seen from the previous exterior camera footage from camera 3 that we saw just now?
It is.
Let's play the first of 2 clips from exterior camera 2. It begins at embedded time 4:46 a.m. and it lasts about 57 seconds. And let's turn to the last of the video clips that will be played for this particular data file. Excuse me. It begins at embedded time about 4:51 a.m. on January 27th, and this lasts about 24 seconds. Returning to State's Exhibit 30Q, 3 additional still photos from 30Q. Are they still photos taken from the video clips that we just played from that exterior camera? And the next slide will focus on the photo on the bottom right here. There are 3 remaining video files. The next has a file name ending 120FC. It has a beginning and ending embedded time and date of 5 to 6 a.m. on January 27th. The first of 3 clips that's going to be played for this video file is going to be from interior camera 6, highlighted in blue. This video clip begins at about 5:27 a.m. embedded time. First, for context, will this video clip and some subsequent clips show a female engaging in activity in this yellow highlighted area?
It will.
And again, from your observation of videos, what is in this particular area?
The washer and dryer for the house.
And looking at a photo that's part of State's Exhibit 32G that the jurors will hear about more through another witness, and is that a washer and dryer that's highlighted in yellow here that we're looking at?
It is.
So with that context, let's play the first of the video clips from 5 to 6 a.m. on January 27th. This one is a little longer. Again, it lasts about 3 minutes. And from your review of surveillance video, the woman that we're going to be seeing in this clip and other clips, is this a third female or one of the two women who had a ride by car earlier that morning?
It's one of the two women who had driven by the car.
And I'm
She was
sorry,
the
it was
passenger.
late last night.
Correct.
Always so sad to see them moving around healthy, safe, and totally oblivious, sadly, as to what's going to happen here. Chopper, did you see the first trial? Okay, Shauna, thanks for being here. We'll see you soon. Yeah, so am I, Chopper. Nice. Good job, Chop. Just living life, she is. That is so sad.
Is State's Exhibit 30S. Are these various still photographs of that same female from the video clip that we just played, as well as from other portions for this particular data file?
They are.
Turning to the next two video clips from this file that we're going to be playing. They're both from exterior camera 3, which is highlighted in red. The first of the clips begins at embedded time 5:49 a.m. And for both this clip and the next, we will focus on the red boxed in area on the upper right-hand corner that we've been looking at in previous videos. For either this clip or the next from exterior camera 3, is there activity documented outside below the red box, where earlier footage depicted a man going from the left to the garage area and also to the right to his car?
There is no activity.
So the only
Outside.
activity is seen inside in this red boxed in area?
Correct.
So with that, let's play the clip. Again, it's an area on the upper right-hand corner, and it's been enlarged for this portion of video. And the jurors are asked to focus not only on the activity, but also the number of people that they can observe in this clip. And this clip lasts about 43 seconds.
Good morning, River Monster. Hello, hello. I hope you're having a good morning.
Moving on to the second of those two exterior clips. It begins at embedded time of 5:52 a.m. It lasts about 1 minute and 14 seconds. Again, it's going to be the area in the upper right-hand corner that's going to be enlarged.
How many people? I see two, I think. Oh, okay. Sounds good, Carrie. Be safe.
So let's go on to the next to last video file. It's file name ending 120FD. It has a beginning and an ending embedded date and time of 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on January 27th of 2017. Still from exterior cameras 3 is seen on the bottom right here. It has embedded time of 6:22 a.m. As embedded time gets closer to 7 a.m. on this particular data file, does the lighting change in the exterior surveillance footage?
It does. There tends to be more light as it reaches dawn.
The vehicles that are seen parked outside the residence during this last video file or next to last video file, are they depicted on State's Exhibit 30T?
They are.
And are these the only two vehicles seen on surveillance cameras at the residence in this video file?
They are.
And at the beginning of the video file, embedded time 6 a.m., are these two vehicles seen parked as seen in these two photos?
They are.
At the end of the video file, about 7 a.m., are these two vehicles still at the residence in the same locations?
They are.
So let's focus on the vehicle in the photo on the left first, right here. This next slide is a photo on the left of the same still, along with a still photo seen earlier, and this has an embedded time of about 11 p.m. on January 26th. And the next slide is going to overlap these two photos. Does the car appear to have moved in the roughly 7.5 hours between the embedded times on those two surveillance stills?
It does not appear to have moved.
Going to the photo of the other vehicle, the other photo is excuse me. The photo from this particular data file is on the left. The other photo on the right is a still seen earlier. It has an embedded time of about 2 a.m. on January 27th. And again, the next slide are going to overlap these two photos. Does the car appear to have moved in the roughly 4.5 hours between the embedded time in those two photos?
It does not appear to have moved.
So returning to exterior camera 3 for this video file, again highlighted in red. It's a clip that begins at a embedded time of 6:22 a.m. It lasts about 40 seconds. So we're going to ask the jurors again to focus their attention in the red boxed in area on the upper right-hand corner. And the next slide should be an enlargement of that area. So we'll play it, and again, it lasts about 40 seconds. The next 3 video clips for this particular file, we're going to move on to interior camera 6, which is highlighted in blue. The first of those clips begins at a embedded time of about 6:33 a.m., and this one lasts about 3 minutes.
That's really weird, Dandy. I couldn't imagine having to look at the Murdoch case again. Ole. They must have cameras all over this house. This is a weird spot to have a camera, but I'm glad that they do, or did.
Moving on to the next clip from the same interior surveillance camera. This clip begins at embedded time of 6:39 a.m. and this clip lasts about 2 minutes and 2 seconds. The next slide has 4 photographs from State's Exhibit 30U. Are these still photos of the female just seen in the previous 2 video clips?
They are.
And the next slide is the remaining 4 photos from State's Exhibit 30U. Are they more photos, more still photos of that same female?
They are.
Judge, we have about 15 minutes left. Do you want to take the break now or continue?
No, we can go for about another 15 minutes.
So up to this point, the video files from which we've been reviewing clips have been an hour in length. What about this particular file beginning at embedded time of 6 a.m. on February 27th? Is it also a full hour in length?
No, it's not.
About how long is it?
It's missing a couple of minutes.
With respect to the end of the video, this still from interior camera 2, which is State's Exhibit 30X, is it a still shot of this particular area when this video file ends, which is, again, earlier than all other files up to this point?
It is.
So with that, let's turn to the last of the clips that we're going to be playing from this particular video file. It is the very end of the video file, and right before the video file ends at just before embedded time of 6:58 a.m. This last video clip begins at embedded time of 6:57 a.m. and lasts only about 11 seconds. The video is going to be replayed, and the jurors are asked to focus on the man's feet and clothing, what he is wearing on his head, and what he is holding. Again, it's only about 7 seconds. Does the video file end seconds after this?
It does.
And is anyone else seen other than this male on the video just before it ends?
There is no one.
The male seen immediately before the video ends, just before 6:58 on January 27th, is State's Exhibit 30W, various still photos of him.
They are.
And the next 3 slides are 3 of the individual photos from State's Exhibit 30W. So we've reviewed on this next to last video file, video and photos from 3 of the 6 cameras, exterior cameras 2 and 3, and interior camera 6. The 3 photos at the top here from States Exhibit 30V, do they depict what is seen on the remaining 3 cameras during this period on the video file from 6 a.m. to about 7 a.m.?
We do.
And going from left to right in the photos, from what cameras are the still shots taken? So this photo on the left is from which
Photo on the left is from camera 1, which covered the lower part of the driveway.
And the middle surveillance photo?
Middle picture is from camera 7, which is an interior camera that had covered that den area that we talked about previously.
And the photo on the far right?
Far right is camera 5.
And that's below the porch that you described before?
That's correct.
So let's go to the last video file. It's a file name ending 120FE. It has a beginning embedded date and time of 9 a.m. on January 27th of 2017. But again, do you know whether the embedded time and date stamps on these video files are accurate?
I do not.
Does States Exhibit 30Y, what we're looking at right now, depict the areas shown by surveillance cameras for this particular video file?
They do.
For all the other video files which we have reviewed footage for up to this point, how many cameras had video footage?
6.
Is that the same with the last video file footage from 6 cameras?
No, it's not.
From what camera is there no footage in this particular file?
We're no longer getting any video from camera 3.
And that's the one that's X'd out in the overhead now?
Correct.
I want to focus on the 2 cameras indicated by the red arrows, interior camera 6, which was been highlighted in blue, and also exterior camera 5, which we actually haven't seen up to this point. Does States Exhibit 37 show what those 2 cameras depict in the last video file compared to what was shown in the previously viewed video file that ended at embedded time 6:57 a.m. with some differences between the 2 highlighted?
They do.
So let's take a closer look at the still photos from interior camera 6, which are the photos on the left. So the still on the left is from the last video file that ended at about 6:58 a.m.
Correct.
And the photo on the right is from the last video file that we're reviewing right now.
That's correct.
And how many different areas or objects are circled in each of the photos?
3.
So we have, appears to be an object circled here that's not indicated here. We also have an area circled here and here for comparison. And lastly, we have an area here and here for comparison.
Correct.
Let's go on to exterior camera 5. The still on the left here is from the last video file that ended at about 6:58 a.m.
Correct.
And the photo on the right is from the video file that we are reviewing right now.
That's correct.
And we have 2 circled areas in each photo.
Yes.
So we have a circled area on the left here and towards the middle of the photograph. Let's go to the last video clip that we're going to be playing. It's from interior camera 6, and it's highlighted in blue. And is this clip going to show a male in the room?
It is.
And does the clip also appear to capture part of a second person wearing different clothes in this area off to the right?
It will.
And now let's play this last clip. It lasts about 1 minute and 25 seconds. So where he's going to, that object right there, that was not seen on the surveillance footage that ended at about 6:58 a.m., right?
It would not.
What does that appear to be to you?
Excuse me?
What does that object appear to be to you?
A smaller size propane tank.
What was he just doing with that propane bottle? Did he crank it
And
open?
does that appear to be somebody else wearing different clothing?
Does.
Was he opening that up?
We're now on State's Exhibit 30Z. Are these various still photographs from this last video clip that we played?
They are.
And with respect to the second person with apparently wearing different clothes, we see that in this photograph on the bottom right.
It is.
On the video, is that about the most that can be seen of that second person?
Pretty much.
And does any of the video from this video file show anyone either arriving at the house or entering the house?
It does not.
So focusing on the male seen in this room, the top two photos here. The next slide are the same two photos on the left.
Yes.
And on the right are portions of still photos the jurors saw much earlier in your testimony from State's Exhibit 30C. Is that
Correct.
And again, focusing on the still photos on the left from the video clip just played. Moving on to the last slide, are those still two still photos also seen in State's Exhibit 35 in the middle?
They are.
One moment. I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our morning recess now and let's try to return at about 11:30 and then we'll work.
Let's just. We'll be able to zip through breaks and lunch.
Cross-examination.
Morning.
Morning.
Just going to ask you some questions about photos that were shown. If you could have Exhibit 30C.
Is he the one that was wearing the ponytail? Is that what I'm to understand?
In the upper part of the photo, is that a depiction of a man with a plaid shirt or a jacket?
Which picture are we looking
The
at?
upper part of the photo, so I would say there's two photos on the top.
Yep.
Is that a depiction of a person wearing a plaid shirt or jacket?
Yes, it is.
You can go to, and just so that the jury knows the date, this is that date, the amended date is January 25, 2017 at about 3:18 in the morning.
Correct.
You can go to Exhibit 30D. In the lower right-hand corner, I think you earlier identified a person standing at the entryway into the other room. Is that accurate?
This is second person? That's correct. Or what appears to be a second person.
Okay, so that person is also wearing a plaid jacket?
It appears to be plaid. I couldn't tell right from that photo, but appears to be.
Okay, if we can zoom out again and take a look at the photo in the lower left. That's the person that appears to be looking at the canister.
Yes,
Is that accurate?
the propane tank?
That's the person looking at the canister, right?
Correct.
And did that person notice anything else about that corner?
Well, objection, that's the speculation somebody stated.
Right, so that's sustained. You'll need to rephrase.
In the video or in the photograph, does it depict the person looking anywhere else besides the canister?
Yes.
Where does it look?
Looks below about where he's standing in that area. Looks down in that direction, and
And where's his attention focusing in? As it's depicted.
I couldn't really tell exactly what he's looking at, but it would be in the direction down below before the propane tank.
So it depicts him fiddling with the canister, correct?
That current one would be.
If I can direct your attention to Exhibit 30F. Do you recall the video that matched the photos of these photos?
Yes.
And this is the photo with the date embedded of 1/25/2017 at about 20:06, so that would bring it to 8 o'clock-ish.
Correct.
And this is the time when two women are entering the house.
Correct.
And in the video clip, we saw the woman in the white hat going back to the door to look what appeared to be locking the door. Is that accurate?
Could you say that last part again?
In the video version, there is a depiction of the woman in the white hat locking the door. Shall we call that?
Don't recall it one way or the other.
Part of your testimony?
They were
yesterday?
walking back and forth in and out towards the car a couple of times. So
Yeah.
not sure which one you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, yesterday was a long time ago. So the camera was shut off at some point on the 27th, the 27th in the morning, around 7 o'clock. That's fair?
Well, object on several things. First, I think the date is incorrect. Second, that goes beyond this witness's particular knowledge.
I'll be free.
All right, you can rephrase.
So we ended your direct testimony with you showing that the last time the camera was on January 27th in the morning,
Correct. I think it was at 6:57.
about 7 o'clock.
Correct.
And so it doesn't depict anything happening later that day?
No, it does not. There's no video that I viewed.
Right, so we don't know if anybody came back that day.
I don't know.
And the camera didn't depict anybody going at 4 o'clock in the morning on the morning of Saturday?
That I don't know.
Okay. And it doesn't depict anything that happened later on the 28th, Saturday?
There's just that one video after the shortened one.
And the last video that we saw, the one that embedded 1:27 at 9 a.m., right?
Correct.
That's when the homeowner, the person in purple returned returned to the home?
I don't know what time he got there.
Okay, and you don't know the individuals in the photos?
I don't know any of the individuals in the photos at all.
And you didn't create the exhibits?
I did not.
You didn't select the exhibits?
I did not.
You didn't see the full videos of any of the videos that we saw?
I just saw the 15 that initially listed.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yeah, but those 15 video files, you saw the complete video files, not just the clips that were shown.
That's correct.
Any recross based on that?
Do you understand the, how the video files work?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Do you understand whether or not there are other video files?
I would assume there are other video files.
And do you understand how many others there are?
I have no idea.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step
Thank you,
down.
Ron.
Thank you.
May this witness be released?
Yes. All right, state, call your next witness, please.
Yes, the state calls Joshua Caldwell.
And as Mr. Caldwell is coming in the courtroom, could I see counsel at the bench?
Are you guys all keeping track? I think I've got all the players figured out. From one case to the next, it takes a second to kind of go, okay, gotcha. There's another trial out there that looks pretty interesting. It's starting today, so I'm not too sure. If you guys are enjoying this, we'll just carry on carrying on. The other one is
Right, good morning.
chilling
When you
on
reach
the
the witness
ranch.
stand, please come around the back. I am going to ask you to remain
Killing with
standing
a K,
and
though.
raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give to the jury will be the truth and the whole truth under the penalties of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please be seated. And so, sir, I know the prosecution is going to conduct your direct examination. Before we begin, would you kindly state your name for the jury?
Joshua Caldwell.
And Mr. Caldwell, the jury can see, and you can see as well on the screen, that there is what's referred to as an order of immunity benefiting you in the sense that you cannot be prosecuted for any information you provide here today that could tend to incriminate you. Do you understand that?
I do.
And have you had the benefit of counsel to explain the significance of an immunity order to you?
I have.
And do you understand that although there is an immunity order, you do have the obligation to tell the truth here?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand that if you do not tell the truth about a material issue, you could be prosecuted for perjury?
I do.
Attorney Hinckley?
Thank you. Please introduce yourself to the jurors.
My name is Josh Caldwell.
What town do you live in?
Somersworth.
And do you work?
I do.
And what do you do?
I'm a business development officer for a drug and alcohol treatment center.
And what does that job involve?
I work with different community members, different community resources, and I tell them about the program I work for. And then when somebody's in need of treatment, they'll call me up and I'll help them get into treatment.
And for about how long have you done that job for? About.
About a year and a half.
Did you have a similar job prior to your present position?
I did.
You're nervous, right?
Very much so.
Okay. You're a recovering drug addict, right?
I am.
Have you also been convicted of drug felonies in federal court?
I have.
What's the current status of that case?
That case is over.
About how long ago did it end?
2 years, I want to say, 3 years. I don't remember exactly.
During your testimony, will you be testifying about your own illegal drug activities back in 2016 and 2017?
Yep, we will.
And for that, you're testifying under that grant of immunity?
I am.
The judge went over it with you, but I want to read it, and then I'll have some follow-up questions. Pursuant to RSA 51634 by letter dated September 13th, 2023, an accompanying motion, the Attorney General for the state of New Hampshire has requested an order from this court requiring Joshua Caldwell to provide testimony in the trial of state of New Hampshire versus Timothy Verills, which testimony Joshua Caldwell may likely refuse to provide on the basis of his privilege against self-incrimination. In his request, the Attorney General has stated that in his judgment, the testimony of Joshua Caldwell is necessary to the public interest. Pursuant to RSA 51634, and based upon the Attorney General's request, the court orders that Joshua Caldwell shall testify in the trial of state of New Hampshire versus Timothy Verills. Further, no testimony or other information compelled under this order or any information directly or indirectly derived from such testimony or other information may be used against Joshua Caldwell in any criminal case of forfeiture. However, Joshua Caldwell may be prosecuted or subject to any penalty or forfeiture for any perjury, false swearing, or contempt committed in answering or failing to answer, or in producing or in failing to produce evidence in accordance with this order. So you went over it with the judge, but again, what do you understand this grant of immunity to mean to you?
So it means that anything I say today can be used against me in a current or a future investigation on me.
And what is your obligation under that grant of immunity?
To tell the truth.
So getting to this sentence, no testimony or other information compelled under this order or any information directly
Dingo.
testimony may be used against you in any criminal case of forfeiture, right?
Correct.
That's your protection, right?
Yes, sir.
It has been suggested, sir, that you killed Christine Sullivan and Jenna Pellegrini.
Right. Why don't you come forward?
The other case, I just put the information in the chat. Looks like it took up 2.5 spaces. He doesn't look very comfy up there. Neither would I. Hope everything's going good in your bubble there, Dingo. Happy Friday. Yeah, Snake Island could be used for all sorts of things, right? Yes, exactly.
Mr.
That's what it's
Caldwell, it
about.
has been suggested or implied that you murdered Christine Sullivan and Jenna Pellegrini. Did you kill them?
No.
Did you stab Jenna to death?
No.
Did you stab and beat Christine to death?
No.
Did you have any role in the death, sir?
No.
Are you going to be testifying about your own illegal activities back in 2016, 2017?
I am.
Did you commit murder, sir?
No.
No problem.
Before we discuss those events from late 2016, 2017, you've given sworn testimony in this same matter?
I have.
Have you also given earlier recorded statements to investigators and given sworn testimony before a grand jury?
I have.
Have you been given to review the trial transcript or any other transcripts from previous statements or testimony that you've been given? Have you been given the transcripts to review?
No.
What are you going to be testifying based on, sir?
My memory?
Would it be fair to say that at this time, some of your memories as to details such as telephone numbers, You may not remember that.
That's correct.
Are you going to be telling the jury the truth?
I am.
Did you kill those women, sir?
No.
I want to turn your attention to the beginning of 2017. In what town were you living?
What was that?
Let me ask this. You didn't know Jenna Pellegrini, did you?
No,
Did you know Christine?
I did.
What was your relationship with Christine?
I knew her from selling drugs.
Were you friendly with her?
I was.
Did you kill her?
No.
Did you slash her throat?
No.
Who were you living with back at the time?
My ex-girlfriend,
And who was that, sir?
Cassie.
Do you currently have any form of relationship with Cassie?
No.
At the time, what was her last name?
Russell.
Do you even know if she still has that same last name now?
Hey,
I don't know.
JJ.
When was the last time you remember having any contacts with Cassie that you remember?
A few years ago when I was working as a bartender somewhere and she came in for a drink.
Back in 2016, 2017, when you had a relationship with Cassie, where were the two of you living in Farmington?
On Central Street.
Was it 54 Central Street?
That sounds correct.
And in the beginning of 2017, you were selling drugs, right?
I was.
What kind of drugs were you selling back then?
Methamphetamine, mainly methamphetamine, but methamphetamine, generic Viagra, cocaine.
Were you selling drugs with or for anyone?
Yes.
And who were you selling drugs with or for at the time?
I was selling drugs with Dean, Christine, and Tim.
Tim, that's Timothy Verills.
It is?
And do you see Mr. Verrill in the courtroom?
Yep.
And can you please identify him for the record, describe what he's wearing?
He's sitting over there wearing a sweater vest or a sweater, I don't know what, it's a sweater.
Yeah, the record reflects that the witness has identified Mr. Verrill, the defendant.
Any objection?
Are these tears
You will.
real? What's
Mr.
going
Caldwell,
on
I
with
see
this
you
guy?
getting emotional when you're pointing out Mr. Verrill. He's your friend. He's your friend, right?
He was my friend, yeah.
You're going to be seeing a lot of text messages. There were friendly text messages between you and Mr. Verrill, right?
Yep.
Testifying here is hard on you for a lot of reasons, right?
Yes.
It's one of those reasons because you're the killer.
No.
Back
So
in the
this guy
beginning of
here is the one on
2017,
trial.
what was your illegal relationship with Mr. Verrill?
I sold drugs with him and bought drugs off of him.
For about how long had you had that relationship, the drug dealing aspect? About.
I don't know, less than a year.
When you said that Mr. Verrill, the defendant, would sell you drugs, would that be for your personal use, or would you resell them, or would it be both?
Both.
And you're also friends with the defendant at the time, right?
I was.
At that time, the beginning of 2017, for about how long had you known the defendant and been friends with him? About.
So off and on for a couple of years.
And if you can explain that to the jurors, what do you mean by off and on a couple of years?
So I knew him from before. He was roommates with another mutual friend of ours. And so I would go over to that house and Tim would be there.
Was there a point in time where you reconnected closer in time to 2017?
Yes.
About when was it that you reconnected with the defendant, Mr. Verrill? About.
I don't know. I don't, like, summertime, I want to say somewhere around the summertime of 2016.
At the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017, About how often would you and the defendant spend time together?
Quite a bit.
And when you say quite a bit, are we talking that you'd see each other daily, a few times a week?
A few times a week.
Back in the beginning of 2017, did the defendant drive a car?
He did.
Do you remember what kind of car he drove?
I believe it was a CRV.
So up on the screen is State's Exhibit 71. Does the car that's depicted in these photos, does it look like the car that the defendant drove back in 2017?
Yes.
What were some of the things that you and Mr. Verrill did as friends together back in 2016, 2017?
Hang out, listen to music, do a lot of art.
You also talked briefly about your illicit interactions with the defendant, that he would sell you drugs that you would use or resell. What about the defendant in drug use? Did you see him use drugs as well?
I did.
And what kind of drugs was the defendant using in the beginning of 2017 that you remember?
Yes, it is.
Cocaine.
This is his second trial. So this happened, roughly 7 years ago.
Methamphetamine, DMT, heroin.
Jurors probably know about cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin. They heard DMT from a witness yesterday. They may not be familiar with DMT. What is DMT?
It's like a hallucinogenic.
In the beginning of 2017, how would you describe the defendant's use? By that, from what you saw, what the defendant told you, was his drug use increasing, decreasing, or staying the same with respect to previous months that you'd been his friend?
I'd say increasing.
When you when you were not physically with the defendant, did he and you still maintain contact with each other, both as friends and as business associates?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yep. When you weren't physically with the defendant, hanging out with him, would you communicate with him both as friends as well as
Yes.
business associates, drug
Yes.
dealers? And how would you communicate with the defendant?
Through phone.
You talked about how you and the defendant reconnected in 2016, began seeing each other as friends frequently. Where was the defendant living when the two of you reconnected?
When we first reconnected,
Yeah.
Farmington,
And where was the defendant living in Farmington?
on Meterborough Road.
That's the 979 Meterborough Road, the house of Dean Smoronk and Christine Sullivan that we'll be talking about.
I don't know the exact number, but yes, it's the house that Dean and Christine were living in.
And when the defendant was living at that house, was anyone else living there with him?
No, I don't think so, no.
What about Dean Smoronk and Christine Sullivan?
Oh, yeah, yes. Okay, yeah.
So that was just my bad question. So the defendant wasn't living with a roommate or anybody, but he was living with Dean Smoronk and Christine Sullivan.
Yes.
And what was the relationship at the time between the defendant, Mr. Verrill, and Dean Smoronk and Christine Sullivan?
I think they were friends and co-workers.
So guys, I am going to pause here. We will come back for part 2, but there seems to be a body found in the Cumberland River. So I would like to jump over there and stream that. So pop over there. I'm going to set it up fast, and let's hope they have this kid. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.